What's up, everybody? Cousin Kenny back again. This time, no toys. Gonna try out a new segment on the channel called Talking Shit. You know, this is something that I've been meaning to get around to doing for a while, but contrary to the beliefs of certain egomaniacal toy makers, the world doesn't revolve around them, and I have a really busy life. But that said, people have been circulating some clips around lately, and I heard this loser that sits around on YouTube for like 3 or 4 hours a week talking shit about people more talented than him. You know, I figured if he can take time out of running his $1 million toy company, which, by the way, can we stop and say, he's bragging about a $1 million toy company 2 years ago before shipping any product, and the product is shipped and we're still talking about a $1 million company. When you want to shoot for some growth at some point, or are sales really that bad? You know, I hear, oh, I'm busy running a $1 million toy company and I'm not on his tank like all you losers. And like, no, but you are on YouTube for like 3 or 4 hours a week, just talking shit, talking about other dudes' genitals all the time. I'm like, really weird stuff. And I said, you know what, if this loser can take 3 or 4 hours a week to run his mouth on YouTube, and if he can take 2 or 3 hours a week to run his mouth on Facebook, I can take an hour out of my week between being a dad and running one of the biggest toy stores in the country, and set the record straight and talk a little bit of shit. So this is the primer. I've got a timer here, and I'm going to do my best in like under 2 minutes to kind of catch people up before I dive into the topic of the video. So, Bobby Vala was a jobber at Hasbro until they kicked him to the curb. I first became aware of him when he was selling a bunch of Hasbro prototypes at JoeCon. There's one right there. I know where a bunch of the other ones went too. Strangely, that was never in the cease and desist letter. Anyways, he got let go from Hasbro, but not without taking a couple things with him, like the knowledge that a 6-inch G.I. Joe line was coming, a couple expired trademarks, and he went to Kickstarter. Went to Kickstarter with a 6-inch military line called Action Force. Not the real Action Force, but a new Action Force that's using the name. Sort of like somebody dancing around in your dead friend's skin. But anyways, Kickstarter failed, blamed it on 4-inch collectors. Kickstarter came back, squeaked across the finish line. Then he announced that he had a Slaughter figure, kind of let the internet believe that he was the only one who could make a Slaughter figure. Sent some cease and desist to people over mean things they said on the internet. And then summer, I guess it was summer 21, another peer in the industry, Eric Aranya, made a Facebook post on his personal profile, which Bobby was blocked from, about the Mattel Ultimate Slaughter, saying, you know, look at this Sergeant Slaughter, it's awesome, except no imitations. Bobby went on this giant rant where he called himself a Bear Douche, which is where that nickname came from. The internet started making fun of him, myself included. Not to be chicken shit, unlike some people who run their mouth about people they've blocked because they can't handle when people talk back or try to get people banned from shows who call them on their bullshit. I tagged Bobby in some of the memes on Instagram directly. We had some spats in our DMs. His lawyers sent me a cease and desist letter where they claimed that it wasn't parody, it was, I don't know. The lawyer clearly didn't understand parody and satire. They said that my making fun of his unoriginal designs was defamation. Sold some shirts, Kennyverse. Gave that money to charity, raised $300 for Stomp Out Bullying, challenged Bobby to match it, he didn't. Mutual friend negotiated a ceasefire. Ceasefire lasted for a couple months, I got some product in, I tried to give a fair, friendly review of the product. Then he started just harassing people again. Most notably, a friend of mine who he sent a handwritten letter with his Kickstarter order with like a 2-year-old Facebook screenshot from the comment section of a long forgotten post. So I said, fuck this douchebag. Ceasefire's over. I'm gonna start making fun of him again, because I really don't like it when people clown on my people. You know what I mean? Anyways, that pretty much catches us up. I think, as I recall, I want to say there were some behind the scenes attempts to get me banned from JoeFest, and it didn't work. During our ceasefire, we had like an hour-long conversation on the phone. I didn't record it. I said I didn't. I meant it. But we talked about a lot of things. And one of the things we talked about was how deeply offended he was by the Kennyverse shirt. To the point where he was like, if you wear that to the show, I'm gonna sue you. And I'm like, you realize if I tell my friends this, if I tell people not to wear the shirt, it's just gonna get worse. Like, people are just gonna do something else. I go, if anything, you should get a shirt, be in on the joke. It'll roll over. Nothing. I can't tell this guy nothing, right? So anyways, really hung up about the shirt. Kept talking about how like he doesn't want to have to see people running around wearing a Kennyverse shirt, which has to be really weird for Hasbro employees to see him walking around in shirts parroting their stolen IP. But anyways, it has to be really weird for Joel Schumacher to walk around and see Valaverse shirts that clearly stole the Batman Forever font. It has to be really weird for Sergeant Slaughter to have to sign all these action figures when someone made him look like Popeye. So, a friend of mine decided that my buddy Ryan, who got the aforementioned creepy letter from Bobby Vala, we got to talking and we started joking around about legal Action Force, right? Because it's like, he's legally Action Force, right? Like, according to his lawyers, he is legally Action Force, so we have to respect him as Action Force. But it's just legally Action Force, it's not really Action Force, right? Like, when we say Action Force, we mean not. It's also funny because I think there were 2 other people that I know for sure that privately got cease and desists. Me, who went public with it, which he told me was a very, very naughty idea. You're not supposed to post the cease and desist publicly, and it's a terrible idea, and that was the dumbest thing you could have done. We thought it was funny, because he's so hung up on legal action, right? I'm legally Action Force. I legally own Steel Brigade's my character, right? So it's funny, right? Legal Action Force. You're the force of legal action, but you're also the legal Action Force. You're also legally Action Force. It's good stuff. Multi-layered joke. Really not that fucking hard, Kanye. Do you like fish sticks? Made some jokes, and then the shirts were made. Now, full disclosure, I took my Kennyverse shirt to JoeFest, and I took this shirt to JoeFest. I left them both in my bag. I was on best behavior, and that brings us to the Saturday when everything happened. Full disclosure, JoeFest is awesome. None of this has to do with JoeFest. This all has to do with 2.5 douchebags. I'll let you pick which one of the three is the half douchebag. Anyways, it's hard, right? Is the short one the half douchebag? Is it the one who's the least involved? Because the shortest one is really the biggest douchebag. But anyways, JoeFest is great. Love JoeFest. JoeFest is awesome. You should definitely come to JoeFest. If anything about this story, JoeFest is awesome. Saturday night lobby party at JoeFest is tight. It's just nerds and toys and friends, and I give more dude hugs in a JoeFest weekend than probably the rest of the year combined. It's incredible. So Saturday night was wild. So we went out to eat after the show, and I think we went to Mellow Mushroom, and I had some drinks, and I was feeling myself, and I got really riled up at dinner. So I go back to my room, and I change into my fresh new shirt. Now mind you, I spent the entire weekend giving this son of a bitch the largest berth that I possibly could. I didn't even go to my friend's booths that were next to his because I wanted to avoid the Valaverse booth, because I wouldn't want to trigger fragile little Bobby, because his feelings would break as quickly as his Steel Brigade weapons do. And I was on best behavior. I swear, I did not wear this shirt to bother him. If I was going to, I would have paraded myself around his fucking booth. I would have found the glory hole where him and Lemmy hang out. I would have done anything except what I did, which was changed into this shirt, went down to the lobby swap where people were selling toys, right? Shop toys, drink, people handing me beers, good times, right? So much booze. Actually, the biggest story of the night before what happens later is I watched a man choke another guy out in the lobby until he passed out. Shit was wild. Anyways, cops got called because of that. It was a whole fucking thing. I think there were I think Molly and Ryan had like freezer push pops. There were definitely shots. And we went hard, right? It went for quite a while. Hours and hours and hours. And, you know, I wore this shirt to make my friends laugh. And my friends laugh, they did. It was largely, oh my God, you're dumb. Oh my God, I can't believe you're wearing that. Oh my God, that's brilliant. Oh my God, where can I buy one of those? Nobody, oh my God, how dare you? So, at some point, a handful of us were drinking at the bottom of the stairs by the front door, standing around talking. I think we maybe had some apple pie or something. I thought there was something in a jar at some point. But anyways, Bobby and his crew come in and they go to the elevator. And Ryan and I are both wearing our Legal Action Force shirts by the front door. And Lemmy Winks comes by and wants to take a picture of our shirt. Now, we aren't dumb. We know what's going on here, right? Yes, of course we do. If I recall, I think it was Ryan who posed for the picture. A lot of alcohol, a lot of peopling, a lot of fun. Details, a little bit blurry. I'm doing the best I can. So he takes the picture, snarky things are said, I'm sure. But we were friendly, we weren't mean. It was definitely like, you know, fucking laugh, douchebag. At some point after this, Ryan decides he's drunk and he's going to bed. I probably hang out for another 20 or 30 minutes, and this is where the story gets fun. I went to bed. That's right. I wore my shirt, I made my friends laugh, and I went to bed. I do the long, long walk back to the second tower, and I get back to my room, and my cousin actually made me these super awesome Care Bear douches. And so I set them up by the TV. I take a picture, which is cool. I fuck around on Facebook. I get out of my shorts and out of my underwear and into gym shorts. I take my shoes and my socks off. And I am like sitting on the bed waiting for the room to level out before I lay down. And I get a text from a friend and he says, "Hey, Bobby's walking around the lobby looking for you, saying, 'Where's that pussy at?'" Gym shorts off, cargo shorts back on, no underwear, no socks, which 3 hours later I would decide was a mistake. But, and I roll out and I go back to the lobby. And if you weren't there, if you're not there, if you haven't been there, it's hard to really understand what the lobby is. Like, it's very much like palace stairs where they're like, if I'm the front door, like walk in, there's these like 2 side stairs and the stairs go up and it goes down the long hallway that I walked, and then there's like these like platform areas over here, right? So I'm walking down this hallway, and between the upstairs and downstairs, I'm probably friends with 40 or 50 people that are there. Probably 35 of them I hug. So I walked in and some of my coworkers are hanging out up there, and so long hallway, platform, there's like a pillar, and my friends are standing right here, and Bear Douche and Lemmy Winks and the brother-in-law, who totally has no horse in the race, they're right here. So I make my beeline over and I show up with my friends, and a couple of my friends anyways. There's a group of like 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and we start laughing and we have a good time, and it's just like, and I'm like, yep, here goes. And they laugh, and it's good stuff. And then the peanut gallery starts talking. So I walk around the corner, and admittedly, at this point, the adrenaline's pumping, the alcohol's been flowing, right? Like, there's an ex-military, some dude I've never heard of before, and then this small, bald, bearded man standing behind them. They've been walking around the lobby hunting me down by name, calling me a pussy. So I'm prepared to accept violence if that's what the world has for me, right? If these people decide they're gonna lay hands on me, then, you know, I fully intended to let Lemmy Winks enjoy the Georgia jail. Because I'm not a fighter. I was there to talk. But they were running their mouth and I didn't know what to expect. So adrenaline was flowing, alcohol was in my system. The details of the conversation get pretty fuzzy for a good chunk of it, because I've got 3 people basically yelling at me to various degrees. Me trying to maintain my cool, honestly trying to diffuse the situation. I went up for a high five with Bobby. I got a, and a lot of, you know, I tried to laugh. I tried to make it. I even offered, at one point, I offered to take the shirt off. I said, "Here, have the shirt off my back." No, blah, 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 blah. I honestly don't know what they expected, but. So, the conversation. Lemmy Winks' whole thing is, "Where'd you get that shirt?" And I probably heard that drunk fucking Australian say that shit to me. God, it had to have been 10 times. The short little angry man, not the bald one, the other short one, he was, you know, very much, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" And Bobby was very much, "What the fuck is that?" And we went rounds about a bunch of things, you know. I said, "Hey, you told me not to wear the Kennyverse shirt. It's not the Kennyverse shirt." Then I tried to explain the joke to him, right? Legally action force, like the whole thing, right? Totally unreceptive. At some point, a couple people, I mean, everybody gathered to some degree, right? Like if we're over here by the, like, we're on this side, right? We're over here by the elevators. And there were people collecting and watching. A couple friends had gotten close by. In retrospect, back up, whether it's to keep me out of trouble or to protect me if something goes terrible. By the way, shout out to all the homies in the lobby. We about to get there. But yeah, you know, where'd you get that shirt, mate? And I'm like, some guy, right? Like, it was my buddy Ryan. There were two of us in the lobby wearing them, like, and it's funny, in retrospect, Ryan was like, I would have fucking told him. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not their fucking business. I ain't giving them shit, because they ain't shit. So, I held strong, and that pissed him off even more, and, you know, we went rounds arguing about nonsense. They got made fun of. Anal Rat got really, really mad about me not telling him where the shirt came from. Like, you're a disgrace to fatherhood, mate, for not telling me who made the shirt. I defended y'all freedom. And I'm like, weren't you in the British military? Like, I'm from Ohio. And he's like, well, I was an ambassador for the such and such of the such and such. And I'm like, that's not what defending my freedom means. And I'm like hiding in the blanket of freedom at one point. He told me that I was hiding in the blanket of freedom because I was wearing a shirt that he didn't like. I mean, listen, we've all heard alcoholics ramble before, right? It's nothing new. It's all stuff you've heard. So, and then at some point, a buddy of mine thinks that it's gonna, reads body language. A couple people think it's gonna go south. So somebody comes up, sort of gives me a hug and kind of like turns me away and starts to walk me a couple feet away, trying to diffuse the situation. Somebody else gets up and sort of tries to talk Bobby off the douchebag ledge. And, you know, then like it starts getting fun, right? Like, cause the initial tension or whatever is broken. Like, I checked my phone at some point and like I got texts from like a really good friend of mine who you wouldn't expect, who's across the lobby, like, I got hands, we about to do this, I got hands. And I'm like, we're not fucking fighting. Like, we do not got hands, okay? Like, this is not gonna be a thing that happens. My cousin downstairs drinking at the bar, completely fucking oblivious to what's going on, which is its own like hilarious level. He comes up the steps like, what the fuck did I miss? I think Adam was with him too. It was fucking clutch. Anyways, so they all decide that, again, front door, fucking princess staircase, Bear Douche and Lemmy Winks and brother-in-law are over here by the elevator still. So they take me down this hall, like down the hallway over by the bathrooms, and they decide that they're gonna position me over there. And then a circle of like probably 6 or 7 people sort of form near me, and we start talking just about the thing, right? Like, what the fuck just happened? Fuck those douchebags, all this shit. And, you know, the moral of the story here is, I don't think they quite expected to come downstairs and find me, have me stand toe-to-toe with them, and then have 30 people, that'd be 3 on 30. Like, someone on his tank earlier described it as 3 on 1, and technically it was, but there were 30 other people in this lobby that definitely would have picked me up off the ground, and there's probably 15 of those people that would have thrown a hand. And I don't think he expected that. Overplayed his hand a bit. Same thing in this last year when he tried to get me banned from JoeFest and met a brick fucking wall. Nothing pisses off little Dick Napoleons more than not getting their way. So this is what you're really here for. I'm gonna finish the story in a second, but just for the sake of continuity, here is where the video ends. Now, I found out about the video on the drive home. I was told that somebody, who will remain nameless, had shot the video from across the princess staircase, right? So like staircase, front door, Bear Douche, Lemmy Winks, brother-in-law, elevator, me, fucking dude on a couch with a camera. So it's a cell phone camera from across the room, a room that had 30 to 50 people in it. And the reality is that you can't hear shit in the video. And it started late and it ends when we get separated. There's more to the story, and I will continue the story after this short viewing party. The world premiere of the Valaverse vs. Kennyverse JoeFest video Highly demanded. Prepare to be disappointed.
I had the ones in the hallway for sale. That's right.
That's the video. First thing I did when I got it was sent it to a friend to see if they could spruce it up visually or audially, if they could find anything. Audio-wise? Audio? Anyways. They were unable to do anything. We were unable to get, I think the copy that I'm using is the cleanest one I have. No juicy tidbits. And listen, we've all read how he writes. Like, you're not getting out of the, the fucking Special Forces washout or the unoriginal toy designer. You're not getting any, like, crazy cleverness, right? And even my burns, I got burns for days. But I was drunk, I was tired, I was annoyed, and I was nervous. So I had my moments though, and we'll get to those. So continuing the story for the 4 of you that are gonna sit through this whole video. Shout out to His Tank, by the way. Over 2010 pages the last time I saw, documenting the rise and fall of a young Robert Vala, and his knockoff military toy line. Like, if you ever need some quality reading, hop on over to His Tank and read the Valaverse thread, because it is phenomenal. Anyways, go to the hallway, talking to friends, and the short gentleman, I don't remember at what point he told me who he was. I feel like he told me who he was before the tiff got broken up, but it might have been in the hallway. Anyways, apparently he was Bobby Vala's ex-brother-in-law. I don't know. I don't care. Really nice guy, except that he was just totally having a bad faith argument with me for like 45 minutes, man. He came over, he's rocking a Valaverse shirt, he's like working the booth for the weekend. He's literally family with this dude, to the point where he still refers to himself as a brother-in-law, not like, I'm his friend, right? Which is what I would do with my sister's ex-husband or whatever, but here we are. He's like telling me how I don't have any horse in this race. I just want to understand. Can you just explain it to me? I just want to understand. I don't have a horse in this race, even though I literally am wearing a horse advertisement and I'm suckling on the horse teat all weekend. The horse just fed me, but I have no horse in the race. So I'm like, all right, whatever, bro. I'll talk shit. I'll always talk shit. And so talk shit I did. And other people talk shit too in the circle. It wasn't just like me preaching on a soapbox. There was probably 6 or 7 of us there, and everybody would jump in here and there and talk about the shittiness, whether it's the threatening violence against Eric Aranya, whether it's gaslighting customers into believing that the line doesn't have any problems, whether it's blaming customers with broken figures for doing it on purpose to try to hurt Valaverse, whether it's, ripping people off for $100 for a little soft goods jacket on a repainted figure, whether it's the Subpar 7 shirt, which, by the way, fucking classic, right? Really important context when it comes to parody shirts, right? Rules for thee, but not for me. This is the Bobby Vala way. Speaking of, we can talk about how he went after people who were like making Iron Ken on YouTube got a fucking copyright strike because he deigned to like show off 3D printed Steel Brigade helmets, like woo. Anyways, so we went rounds and rounds with this dude, and it didn't go anywhere. And honestly, I think his name was Mike. We're gonna pretend it's Mike because I'm using bullshit names for so many people anyways. So Mike, I like Mike. Mike, I feel like Mike and I could have had some beers. If it was over any other topic, Mike and I probably would have had some beers. And I had some mutual friends who had really nice things to say about Mike. So like, Mike, probably not a bad dude, just keeps really bad company. Speaking of bad company, the juicy tidbits, there are no juicy tidbits with the conversation with Mike, right? Like, if you want to know what we talked about, go read the first 1,200 pages of the his tank thread. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, there's shit for days. The handwritten letter to Ryan, the fucking mouthing off to customers who just have like regular normal complaints, like why doesn't your website work, or where's my product, or fucking Kickstarter companies that send you a piece of paper that you have to warm up your figures to use them, or Bush League, and then turns around and does the same fucking thing, but then gaslights customers into thinking that the toys don't have problems, even though he literally sent us all a fucking piece of paper that said that they did. All of the same old, right? At some point in this, Lemmywinks comes back over. We threw a couple tits for tats, right? Nothing crazy. He mouthed off. He was basically getting Mike, if that's his name, basically being like, yo, we're wrapping up, whatever. Bobby says it's time to go, I think was what I said. And I said something to Lemmywinks along the lines of, yeah, you better listen to your boyfriend. And then Mike turned around, and this is when Mike really lost like 4 points in my book. Like, Mike, I thought we were boys. I thought you didn't have a horse in the race. And he's like, that's unacceptable. That's not okay. And I'm like, wait, I can be a disgrace to fatherhood, and I can be a coward hiding in the blanket of freedom, and I can be a piece of shit, and you can fucking threaten to take food out of my kid's mouth by threatening to sue me over some jokes and all this shit. But I say that Bobby and Lemmywinks are boyfriends, and like, that's over the line. Like, y'all either got a skewed moral compass or you're homophobic as fuck. Cause like, Bobby has definitely referred to Ryan as my butt buddy. I think he referred to Ryan as my butt buddy that night. That rings a bell. I don't give a fuck. I love Ryan. I'm not going to fuck him in the ass no matter how many times someone calls him my boyfriend. So, if you get offended by that, maybe it's because you're on the fence and you're struggling with that. So they load up, and the whole time Bobby has been over here getting talked to by people. I've heard in retrospect some of the conversations that went on with him, but those aren't my stories to tell. It doesn't matter. He didn't listen. Suffice to say, they go to get back on the elevator, the three of them, and they're really grumpy. And then at one point, by far the greatest moment of the night, and I'm not going to name who because, again, not my place. I should have asked him if he cared. But anyways, not my place. Fucking Lemmy Winks is walking from like the hallway to the elevator, and somebody, a beautiful human standing there, just goes like fucking boom. Gives him the nipple. Yeah, like grown man just flashed Lemmy Winks a nipple on the way to the elevator for no reason, just a bare ass male nipple. And and Lemmy Winks goes, "The fuck was that, mate?" And he's like, and the dude goes, "I don't know, man, but it's something." And they get on the elevator, and then we fucking stood around and laughed about it for like another 45 minutes and drank and laughed at how fucking absurd it was that this fucking ex-military and his half-ass toy designing boyfriend and his fucking ex-brother-in-law showed up in the lobby to fight me over a legitimately funny t-shirt and a lot of legitimately funny jokes. Like, listen, like I don't have an ego, but you're not gonna tell me that my fucking memes weren't fire. I have fucking Hasbro employees coming up to me in person still being like active and past Hasbro employees being like, "Oh shit, you're Kennyverse Kenny. That shit was fucking hilarious." I've had non-Hasbro industry people come up to me being like, "That shit was fucking hilarious." There you have it. That's probably the most abridged version that I could give. But it still might be the most complete version that I can give by myself. Nothing can beat standing in the lobby at JoeFest or AR or another show with people who were there and having people fill in the holes. Because again, there's 50 different perspectives on what happened that night. I'm just the perspective that was in the middle of this shitstorm that all this hate was focused at, right? Like, you know, if I'm gonna ask my cousin about finding out that his cousin was upstairs about to get his ass beat out of the blue while he's just downstairs doing Jaeger shots or Fireball with some OG-13 or whatever, right? Like, and ask the opinion of the guy who was filming the video across the room. Ask the opinion of the straight up homie who drugged me away so I didn't get my head bashed in by an alcoholic cosplayer. Like, there was so much going on that night, but this is a drunken recount of a drunken evening. So the details are fuzzy. That probably won't stop the Bear Douche's lawyers from trying to sue me because, this is defamation that you reported your perspective on the evening and that you had an opinion that different than the Bobby Vala's. I just hope it was entertaining. I don't care about the view count. It feels good to just kind of get it out there. At the end of it, you can love Bobby Vala. I don't care. You can love Valaverse. I don't care. You can think it's the greatest toy line since sliced bread. I don't care. I sell it in my store. I mean, I don't buy it direct from him because I'll never give him another fucking dollar. But I buy collections that come in and I make money off of him without giving him money. I mean, I gave him money for the second Kickstarter, but I scalped everything at a profit, even though it was open. So I made money. I just keep making money off of him. Shout out to that too, by the way. Made multiple business connections through all this drama, which has been profitable. And also made quite a few sales people come to the booth at the second JoeFest that he tried to get me banned at, being like, hey, I want to give you money. Or at another convention that we were both at that he tried to get me banned at, that people were like, sorry, he's a douchebag, let me buy some stuff. So, shout out. That's really what this is all about. Fuck Bobby. Like, this shit don't matter, right? Like, at the end of the day, this comes down to hashtag FBV. Fuck Bobby Vala. Fuck the drama. Fuck Lemmy Winks. Fuck the fucking dude running around with a COVID mask. Fuck all of them, right? Because it doesn't matter. Like, fuck these people who want to come in and try to railroad a community and take it over, because that's not what it's about. At the end of the day, telling this story, sure. Is it fucking with Bobby a little bit? Yeah, whatever. I don't care. What it really is a testament to the G.I. Joe community. I'm talking about that crowd that shows up at JoeFest, that shows up at AR, that shows up at NJCC. I'm talking about the crowd on His Tank. I'm talking about the crowd in the Classified Elite group on Facebook. I'm talking about those down-ass motherfuckers. The G.I. Joe community is one of the coolest communities I have ever been a part of. And yeah, man, every year I go to JoeFest and I get 50 plus dude hugs, and it's awesome. And I have, Ninja Force Artan is my favorite G.I. Joe. I don't even belong with these people. I like shit they all hate. And they welcome me with open arms. It's ironic, like, Bobby Vala has been involved in like 3 of the most like touching fucking toy community moments I've ever had, and they've all been in the Joe community. And one of them was with like a Grail level prototype that I was able to get because he was selling them after he left Hasbro. Another one was the 10 to 15 people who reached out to me after Bobby sent me a cease and desist threatening to sue me, who volunteered to help pay for legal bills. They didn't pay. I got a lawyer by myself. You bully fuck. But they offered, and that was touching. And the third man was standing in that lobby Saturday night when I thought, like, honestly, I thought, like, yeah, man, there's like 5 or 6 people here that I know are like down. And then I saw the room and I watched these motherfuckers get clowned back into the elevator by like 30 people. And it was fucking glorious. And then the number of people who came by the booth that Sunday who were like, I'm sorry I missed it, man. I wish I could have been there. And the messages I got for weeks after. And then again, the last year at JoeFest, like, the number of people who were out there, like, if anything goes down, I got you, like, give me tips on where they were so I could avoid them so they didn't jump me in the hallway, like, all that shit, man. So that's what I want people to take away from this. Yes, Bobby Vala is a bitch. Bobby Vala is a coward. Bobby Vala is an unoriginal hack. And Bobby Vala is a hypocrite. But more importantly than that, the G.I. Joe community is one of the coolest groups of humans that I've ever been involved with. And whether it's me standing up for Eric Aranya, whether it's me standing up for Ryan, whether it's me respecting Ed at JoeFest by behaving myself, I owe a lot to that G.I. Joe community, and I pay it back. So, yo Joe. And accept no imitations.